Welcome to our I Am Workshop Conversation Series, a transformative journey designed to inspire self-discovery and ignite your creative spirit. With your hosts, Anna Maria Davalos, Maria Lanes, and Maclovia Martel. Today's guest is Nesrin Abaza, a restaurateur and empowered woman who leads with courage, heart, and vision. She is the founder and owner of Nabiha, a Palestinian restaurant in Washington, D.C. Through Nabiha, Nesrin honors Palestinian heritage while creating a table where people from all backgrounds can gather, listen, and remember our shared humanity. Deeply committed to peace and human connection, Nesrin has intentionally used food as a bridge, hosting conversations and experiences that bring Palestinians, Israelis, and diverse communities together, reminding us that when we break bread together, we reconnect to what makes us human. Welcome to the show, Nesrin. Thank you for being here.
Welcome, Nesrin.
Thank you. Thank you. What a great honor to be among three amazing women.
Oh, four. So, my first question is, can you tell us about a transformative experience in your life that deeply changed you and helped shape who you are today?
Yes, actually. And that when I graduated from college, from the university, I wanted to enter, I was going to work with a transportation logistics firm. And it was a job that was mainly controlled by an older white male, mainly Irish industry. So shipping is really not something that many women go into at that time, and that was in the 70s. So I remember telling my father that I wanted to enter this industry, and I started from the bottom because as a woman, I was only asked every time, whatever interview it was, no matter where I went, I was asked how many words a minute I typed. And my father had taught me how to type. He's one of the fastest typists. He used to work for the Voice of America. He was a journalist, producer, and broadcaster.
Wow.
So I refused to say I know how to type because I thought, hey, I paid for my education. I got a degree, and everyone tells you if you have a college degree, that's how you build your future. And my father sat me down and said, you need to be realistic. You need to get your foot in the door, and the degree will make a difference later. So you need to tell people you know how to type. I was like, okay, finally. After 6 months of job searching, I said, okay, I know how to type. And I got my job at a shipping company. And so I started with doing administrative work and then sort of moved up. But I was working under a male name because I started working in the military section. And the market that I worked on was the Middle East. And therefore, they did not want any of their Middle Eastern clients to identify that a woman was doing most of the work on their projects. So I actually had to work with using the middle name of my boss and his last name so we can identify the correspondence that came in. And when I told my father this, he said, just remember, and this is not going to be, I think you may have to bleep it out. And he said, just remember, most of the time, men's brains are between their legs and your brains are in your head. So you're always going to be ahead.
I love it.
And don't take anything as an insult. You smile and you get what you want done, and don't ever allow anyone else to tell you what you can do and what you can't do. You can only go as far as you can because of who you are. So I decided, okay, I don't have a problem, working under my boss's middle name. And then the Gulf War started, and I had dual citizenship. So my bosses came to me. I was stationed in Washington, D.C. It's a special projects office. So what I did was basically bid on contracts for foreign military sales. So the U.S. government would allocate, for example, to Jordan, $8 million worth of arms. My job was to market our company to the Jordanian military and say, hey, we're the best freight forwarder with high security clearance in order to ship your military goods. So the Gulf War came, and that was my opening to travel. They wouldn't let me travel and identify myself. So they said, you have dual citizenship. The State Department issued no travel to the Middle East for American citizens, but we have a lot of things to do and we have a lot of money to collect. Can you go to Jordan? And I was like, yes. So that was my opening, and I went to Jordan and I met with the military, and they had specifically asked me not to meet with one general. And so I found out that they arrived at the Army base at 7 a.m. So at 6:45, I was sitting outside this general's office, the one they told me not to meet with, because they didn't want him to know that not only was I a female, but I was also partly Jordanian. And
Wow.
so I walked in and I met with him first thing in the morning. And the first thing he said to me is, I knew they had a Jordanian woman working for them. And I said, well, let me tell you, I said, there's a lot of stereotype about Jordanians in the US, and especially that, that in the Middle East, men don't respect women. We don't know how to work with women. They don't know how to work with women. But, you and I, as Jordanians, need to prove them wrong because they don't understand that the Jordanians are very well educated. And there's people like you who are very professional. He was actually the complete opposite. But
Right.
anyway, I gave him lots of flowers, and he said to me, well, if that's what they think, guess what? They're getting a fax, and I'm not going to work with anyone except you. So that was
You
my
were so
little,
smart.
yeah.
Oh my God.
So then I became marketing director for the Middle East, and I was running several Middle Eastern countries in their foreign military sales programs.
Your father seemed to give you the wisdom to talk to these men, correct?
Well, my father raised me as a boy.
Yeah.
And actually, I was a tomboy growing up, and I played soccer. My father was actually on the
Me
national
too.
soccer team of
Yeah.
Jordan. So yeah, I love soccer.
Mhm.
So yeah, he raised me basically to be aggressive in life and very and respect humanity and respect people.
Mhm.
And my mother used to say, people don't remember all the wealth you have when you're gone. They only remember what you have accomplished in your life.
Beautiful.
You're
True
so
words.
experienced.
You're so
Excellent.
lucky you had those parents. That is
Yes,
so, I
So
mean, you
amazing.
landed into this crazy, job.
So that shaped you. That
yes,
shaped you.
shaped you.
yes,
Yeah,
And then
yes.
especially
So
from a Middle Eastern father. I mean, that is amazing. I've been in
Yeah.
Jordan, I've been in Amman, and it's very extremely modern. And women, I think, in Jordan are sometimes more empowered than Ecuadorians. I mean, Nesrin, you've been in the two countries, and I don't know.
yes, I find a lot of similarities culture-wise. Obviously, Jordan is more impacted by Islam, and Jordan it was a lot more modern, and I feel that we're moving back towards um, more religious.
Dogma. Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't understand it, and I think it's also so. And this is I think that happens in a lot of countries in the Middle East. So when you have lack of employment, lack of opportunities, and corruption from the governments,
Mhm.
and increase in the loss of your middle class. Middle class is really the backbone of any society. And when you start losing your middle class into the poverty side, you start finding people turning towards hope, right?
Yeah.
And this is where I find fundamentalists and extremists sort of feed into this, and basically they become the hope of saving you, which is incorrect. I don't believe in organized religion. Let me make myself clear. I feel that organized religion is a controlling system. It's about money and greed. It's just a different political organization, right? So it's not exclusive of governments. I do believe in religion as personal. It is whatever you believe in, that's between you and if you believe in God. But a universal religion is morality and humanity. And that is covered with all religions. It's preached by all religions, but not practiced.
How did you start with this idea of uniting and the Palestinian food and the restaurant and with the Israelis? I mean, that's amazing. And
Well, it's not specifically Israelis, it's within the Jewish
the
community
Jewish.
and others, it's not targeted towards Jews, it's targeted to everyone else. I don't need to educate Arabs or Palestinians about the Palestinian cause and our struggle. It is basically at a time, I opened it on September 18, 2024, and it's at a time when the media and the world has dehumanized Palestinians. We are watching a live televised genocide, and it just, to me, it's mind-boggling and frustrating as to the silence and complicity of so many governments. Even the Jews said after the Holocaust, never again. And we're watching, I'm seeing
We're watching it again.
Europeans, we're watching it again.
Mhm.
And you have some of the highest voices are Jewish Americans, right? That are really fighting alongside with the Palestinians. And so the restaurant was created because there were two Zionists that were walking in our neighborhood, and they kept spray painting everything that said Palestine on it. And so my husband is part Jewish as well. So my daughter and my husband were outside, and I had told them that these two Zionists are spray painting everything about Palestine. So if you see them, record them so we can report them to the police. And my daughter saw them, and they came after her aggressively. They're ex-military. They sometimes wear IDF shirts. They're very fit, probably in their late 60s, 70s. And they came aggressively towards my husband, my daughter. My husband looked at them and he's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, you Hamas lovers." My husband looked at him and said, "This has nothing to do with Hamas. I'm Jewish. This has to do with humanity." And so he told me, "You're opening a Palestinian restaurant." I just put the biggest Palestinian flag on U Street, which is about 6 or 7 blocks from the White House. And so I said, "Okay, I don't know anything about opening. I mean, I run your company, but I do administrative financials. I don't know how to cook for a restaurant." My daughter's like, "Mom, you cook dinners for 30, 40 people easily in Ecuador. You can do this." So it's like, okay. They're like, "You have 1 week to come back." I was in Ecuador at the time. So I was like, "I need 2 weeks." So I threw a dinner of Palestinian food in Ecuador for 40 people. I tested it and I came back and I opened it. And the mission really of the restaurant is to welcome everyone, whether you agree with me or not, to show you that Palestinians, through our food, have a culture, have a history. We have a flag, we have a cuisine, and we're not going anywhere.
Right.
And that's the mission of the restaurant, really. And it's also to give a safe space for people who feel separated from their homeland. So
Yeah.
they come in, it's the decor. It actually feels like you're walking into your grandmother or your aunt's. It doesn't matter what nationality you are. I've had Europeans, Italians, I've had Spanish. And it says it really feels like I'm walking into either an aunt or a grandmother's house.
Teta, right? Your
Get
tetas.
that, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. No, because
Mhm.
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking back at how your father, advised you. And you're carrying on his advice to this moment in this, what you're doing. I think it's so brave. And the key thing is, I've always thought that the moment you meet somebody from a different country, then your perspective changes. It's no longer, I've heard Jordanians or Ecuadorians are so and so. You're giving an opportunity for people to actually meet and have a
Exactly.
personal opinion. And I think that's so important.
In
And
a comfortable, warm
yeah,
environment.
Yeah, protests come in different ways. It's
yeah,
not always, I don't need to scream, even though I do attend protests, don't mistake. But this is a different type of protest, which allows a conversation to take place. And I always believe, like everything I've done, especially when I was working transportation logistics, I I accomplished everything through a meal. Contracts were signed through a meal. People's guards go down a little,
yeah,
and a little more warmth shows up when you're sharing a meal. So even I've had major discussions and disagreements within the restaurant. It's still civil, right? And this is the whole idea. We may disagree, but I think everyone agrees on humanity. And
yeah.
and that's the key.
That's the
It
common.
creates a unity.
Yeah, exactly.
It creates a unity. Like you
Yeah,
all have something in common. You all have to eat this
Yes.
good. You all
well,
have
with
to
food,
eat
Yeah.
you think
and
better,
drink. And
Yeah.
this is what we have in common, and we can do it with love or unity. And um, that's beautiful. Where now did your grandmother have a big influence as well on you in the
No,
regarding
it was my mother
your
because I grew up
mother?
in Greece. I left Jordan when I was 2 years old because my father was working for the Voice of America Arabic branch, and
Mhm.
that was located in Rhodes, Greece. So
Oh,
I grew up in Rhodes. I lived there for 14 years. I went to an American school that was built by the US government, the State Department. But my mother cooked a lot. And she always had this thing about cooking enough food that you never know who comes to your house. And there's
ah,
always somebody walking in, right? So you're always cooking for
A
a
lot.
dinner or lunch party. So I watched her, and as I got older and I went to university, I my mom accused me of not even knowing how to boil an egg. You're never going to get married. You don't know how to cook. And I was like, well, if someone marries me for my cooking, then you know what? That's not the husband I want. I
Another
started cooking later
You
yeah.
in life.
did. You did. And
Yeah.
yeah,
and is it a combination of different cultures, or is it
Well, in my Palestinian restaurant, I'm
Mhm.
cooking only traditional old recipes. I don't cook modern, I don't cook Lebanese, I don't cook Jordanian. And the reason is, and it's all tapa style,
yeah,
because there's some that you might not like, but I want you to taste different flavors of Palestine,
right.
right? And understand the cuisine. That's also the menu is written in Arabic words with English letters because it allows a conversation to start between the server and the client, or myself and the client, explaining the foods, even though there's
Wow.
an English description. But I practice with the clients, teaching them how to say it in
Oh,
Arabic,
fun.
and it becomes a mental connection, and it humanizes
mm-hmm.
Right.
me
I love it.
through the food,
Yes.
right?
What
Exactly.
a
Love it.
That is
connection.
so important.
Yeah. But no, like today I have a luncheon that I've invited people here in Ecuador, but I'm cooking all Greek.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, but in
Amazing.
my restaurant is Palestinian.
And another
Yeah.
question that what I'm listening to you right now, Nesrin, you're leading from both structure and soul. What helps you stay aligned when you have this external pressure about, I don't know, politics or government? What helps you go back to the center? What is your thinking at that moment?
So since a child, I'm going to use a word that my kids are not allowed to use. It's forbidden in our family, and the word is hate.
Mm,
Hate is a very strong feeling that my
mhm,
Mhm.
husband and I don't allow our kids since they were young to ever use it. Oh, I hate milk or whatever. No, I dislike. But today I'm going to use the word hate, and I hate injustice, which in any form.
Mhm.
And I always stand up if I had to go beat up someone in elementary school because they bullied my friend or whatever, I did it. I didn't care. I really, till this day, I think injustice is what drives me.
mhm.
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's overwhelming a little bit now with everything that's happening.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but I feel like
Yeah.
there's little things you can do, and I'll give you small examples like what helps me. If I look at the full picture, right, it's overwhelming. But I feel there's small things everybody can do, right? And you don't have to have money, you don't have to have access to a lot of things, but everybody has someone within their circle that
Mhm.
has experienced injustice. And I'll
Yeah.
give you a small example that's not even political. We had a busboy who didn't speak English. He's Latino, and he saved and saved and saved and bought this nice bicycle as his only form of transportation into to go to work. And it broke. He took it to a bike shop. This bike shop told him after a month, "Oh, guess what? We had a robbery. Your bike's gone. We'll give you $100 for it." That bike cost him $1,000, and someone came and told me the story, and I was like, okay, I have a friend of mine. So I have a really good friend. I'm not going to say her name. She's a lawyer, and she does. I have all these small little um, scenarios of how to help different people. So I tell
Mhm.
her, I was like, okay, I know I've looked up the law, I've looked up this, I know what to do. I just need you to rewrite my letters in legalese
Yeah.
so people get intimidated and feel they can't take advantage of people that don't speak English. Well,
Right.
guess what? I gave the bike shop 48 hours. They had to give him $1,500 check, and he got it.
Wow.
That's
So
amazing. That's
that
a
these are the stories, right? But
Yeah.
and then now on a political level, it gets bigger, and you can do things. So there's always something or someone that needs your help. And I always say it takes 5 minutes to figure
Yeah.
out if you can help or not. And it takes nothing away from you, just a little time.
Yeah.
And that time can change someone's life.
and you can
Exactly.
protest that bike shop. I hope you wrote a review because that's
Yeah,
Well,
terrible.
yeah. Yeah, my
yeah.
And
my my father-in-law, he used to
They
say,
have
yeah,
insurance. It's ridiculous. You have insurance. You get robbed, you're
hmm
covered.
hmm
exactly. No,
yeah.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
father-in-law used to say the easiest thing to say in life when somebody asks you something is no. The
Yes,
hardest thing to say is yes, because the moment you say yes, you commit.
Mm.
correct. I agree with that. And you know what a
Uh,
no is? It's a difficult yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
I don't
That's
take no for
true.
an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Nesrin, how do
Uh,
you deal with fear? I mean, because you're in the middle of this political and war and everything that's happening, and in Washington, D.C., how do you deal with it? I mean, what is your mindset right
it's
now?
very easy. It's very easy. I look at what these little kids in Gaza are going through,
yeah,
and they can still give a smile. And who am I to fear what? To fear being shut down, to fear telling me to shut up,
Yeah.
that's nothing compared to what they're doing, right?
Right.
So they're my inspiration. There is nothing I can complain about.
You're very courageous. If everyone was like this, problems would be solved much quicker.
Well,
Instead,
they
We
because
can.
need women to run the countries.
yeah, we really do.
Well, I think it starts with opening a conversation and
Mhm.
giving the opportunity to make, people think that, yeah, we can sit down and we can talk and we can solve.
Yeah,
If
but I think men are running with egos. And so that's completely different. We approach women, and I'm not here to just insult men. There's some amazing men, right? I just think that we accomplish things better, we communicate better, and we don't allow our egos to get involved. And looking at today's political landscape, with all the inflated egos, oh my God, they're on steroids.
Yeah.
and nothing
Yeah.
is getting done.
Exactly.
Yeah, nothing is
Well,
getting done.
actually, a lot is getting done. Everything that we're seeing is a distraction
Mhm.
Yeah.
of what they're actually accomplishing,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
what they're accomplishing is it's a mafia of trying to acquire natural resources worldwide.
Mhm.
And
So
they're using us as little puppets,
yeah.
distract us,
Distractions.
attack us, and create chaos. But that's a playbook out of every dictator and authoritarian government.
I think we've lived long enough to see things have
What
different
are
consequences.
there in where your restaurant is located? Are there political figures that come in to your restaurant? You don't have to
So
name them, but
no, I've had several. I've had 5 members of the European Parliament come in,
Mhm.
and I asked them, I said, "Are you here for the Peruvian side or the Palestinian?" They said, "No, only Palestinian." I was like, "Oh, great, thank you." So of course they happened. It was from Spain, and from France,
Mhm.
and one other European country that I don't remember. So every time, of course, Spaniards come in, I thank them for their president and how they stand up for the Palestinians.
Mhm.
But I've also had an advisor to Obama
Mm.
who happened to be Jewish, and he comes and gave me a great review. We've had great conversations. We've laughed. He brings his family. When his son was in town, he brought him in. And I've had National Security Advisor to Cheney. I've had congressmen. I've had senators. I've
Mm.
had
Yeah.
several.
What a
Returning
dream.
customers.
I mean, I love the story. Mauricio all of a sudden said, "You're opening this up." And boom. It's,
I know it's crazy. We haven't. It's been a year and a half, and right now, what we're doing is not only the Palestinian restaurant, but it's El Secreto de Rosita, the Peruvian
Yeah.
Ecuadorian side.
Mhm.
We're creating communities really. Every Friday, every Saturday, we have a Palestinian market, different vendors that come in to sell to support themselves, but have to have a percentage that goes to support Palestinian families.
Mhm.
And every Sunday, we have a market to support the genocide in Sudan. But not only that, we also are organizing fundraisers for politicians. Midterms are the key. Midterms are where we need to focus. Midterms. Can't say it enough. Even Trump said, threatened the Republicans. If you don't win the midterms after insulting them, right? If you don't win the midterms, then I may be impeached. Well, you know what? Midterms is where everyone needs to focus on. So we're bringing in politicians who are running, who do not accept money from APAC, because obviously the US government is controlled by Israel. It's dictated whether you're a Democrat or Republican, because APAC controls your purse, and that's
Mhm.
it. So right now the key is, and the wave is here. The wave is moving. Is to support and do fundraisers and meet and greets. So we're mixing food, we're mixing politics, but we need to hit every side and make sure that we create a base for organizers to be able to actually attack the midterms. Palestine is the long term, right? You need to focus on locally. As an American, what impacts us, right? When all the money that's given to Israel and we can't afford healthcare, we can't. So forget, even if you don't care about Palestine, you should care where your tax money is going. Your tax money is going to Israel. It's our hard-earned money, and we can't even afford healthcare. We can't afford universal education. And these are things that many Israelis enjoy on your dollar.
Yeah.
That's like a wake up,
Wake up call, yeah. And it's a polarization right now in the world, and we have to think in a solution, because targeting one another obviously is not helping. And what you're doing in the restaurant right now is trying to unite the same. Is like Loli's question. If you've received politicians there, is like they can get all united with the food and think differently, or have a little bit of emotional intelligence, get into the other person's shoes
Well,
and start seeing other cultures, right?
Well, I can give you an example of that. The senator came in after he came in with two lobbyists for dinner at Rosita, and I was introduced to him, and then he said to me, "Oh, show me your Palestinian side." And this is 7 days after he voted not to ban arms to Israel. So I walked through, looked at him, I gave him the whole story about my restaurant. And then he put his arm around me and said, "You must hate me." I said, "We don't hate, we hold hope for change. And I have the hope for you." And so then I thought about what should I bring them to the table. So I brought him, I brought him the national dish of Palestine. And I have a Jewish friend who makes my pickles, and they're named after him. And so I brought the pickles and I brought the national dish of Palestine. So I told the story about the dish. It's called Msakhan. It's served during the olive harvest season in Palestine. It's cooked with chicken, olive oil, sumac, and onions, and they bring it to the olive groves, and they all everybody eats it by hand as a shared community. And he reaches to the plate and he goes, "I hope it doesn't burn me." I said, "No, we don't burn, others do."
That's great.
I love it.
He probably likes that. Do you think?
No, and my husband had a conversation with him, and he went up to my husband. My husband initially had asked him, he's like, "Why can't you even say it's a genocide?" And as he left, he went to my husband, put his arm around him, and said, "You're right, I'm wrong."
Wow.
So
well,
yeah, you can, some
you can
people
change.
react and some people, and I think it's worth it. I mean, every little bit counts.
Helps. Well, I think that getting, the community to understand the history that, you have a wonderful culture, I think that would help open up their eyes, their mind, and change the way they vote. So, I mean, I think that it's lack of information that usually, we don't have the whole complete picture, and you are trying to present the whole picture, and I think it's valuable.
Yeah, and it's
So,
about
And
really
fear is very,
yeah.
you can control people so well using fear.
Yes,
it's been
exactly.
used forever.
Mhm.
No, it's amazing. It's
including
amazing.
religion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Is there a dish at Nabiha that holds an ancestral meaning to you? Or they all do?
Ancestral meaning. So the one Msakhan, the national dish of
Uh-huh.
Palestine, was my favorite dish, and my mother used to make it in like little tortillas rolled, She would
Yeah.
freeze them and she would deliver them to my house when my kids were in elementary school. And that was their lunch every day. My kids still now love it. But my mom would always make it. It's still my favorite dish. And my kids grew up eating it. They would go to school with like tabbouleh, hummus, and sakhan for lunch, right? So that's one dish. My other dish is hummus, and I'll tell you the story of my hummus. My my favorite memory of growing up in Greece and having summer vacation in Jordan as a child. I couldn't wait once we landed the next morning. Every neighborhood has a hummus guy, a little kiosk that you go, all the kids will take in the morning a plate and they go to the hummus guy and say, I want 1 Jordanian dinar or 2 Jordanian dinars worth of hummus. And so that was my favorite thing doing every single summer that I went. And
Delicious.
it was just, there's this flavor that just brings me back. So I've been working for about 7 years on recreating that flavor. Everyone says my hummus is the best. And I'm not there yet. I think I'm at 89, 90%. But I think I've enjoyed the journey more than achieving the actual flavor. It's
Yeah, that's
because
done.
I'm always doing something different, trying to figure out or study a new hummus technique or whatever. But I've been doing it even way before the restaurant. So really, hummus is my thing.
I
You
You
love
know
it.
know,
what?
would you like to share like a recipe? We need to
I
learn.
I want to know because
Absolutely
I
not.
make
They
I
will go
make
to the restaurant.
I love making hummus as well. But I make it just garbanzo beans, olive oil, garlic, a little
Take
lemon.
out the garlic. Take out the garlic.
Take out the garlic.
Take out the garlic, and then what you do is so this is what they do back home. So you take jalapeno and garlic and chop it up really tiny. In Arabic, it's called da'a. Da'a is like, when you tap a drum
Uh-huh.
Mm.
like this.
Yeah.
So da'a is you put it in the middle of the hummus plate when you serve it. So the jalapeno and garlic, you put a little
Write
salt,
it down.
olive oil with it, and then you put it in the middle. So also your hummus will last longer because the garlic mixed in the hummus doesn't give it longevity.
Oh, do you put
Mm.
tahini? People put
Yeah.
tahini in their hummus.
Oh, oh, you have to.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't.
Yeah. No, you have to.
That's part
Okay,
of
then
it.
it becomes very dry. So
Mm,
you have to put tahini.
okay.
And it's all about processing. What liquid do you use?
Olive oil and I put a little lemon.
So don't put olive oil on the hummus. You use it on the outside when you serve it.
Mm.
So you use ice cubes instead.
Oh,
See,
well,
that's
look
what,
at this. Oh, look
we
what
need to understand
I've
what
been
we're
making it
doing.
so wrong.
When you put it in the food processor, the ice cubes create space.
Mm,
And so and really it's you mix it for a long time.
okay.
Oh, wow.
And then olive oil goes on, and the garlic jalapeno goes in the middle, olive oil on top, and you can decorate it with a little paprika or sumac.
Okay.
That's it.
I love it.
Beautiful.
Delicious. See, we had to know. And how about, do you invite artists to exhibit in your gallery for,
in our
and
restaurant?
I mean
Yes,
in the
actually.
restaurant, yeah.
The
Yeah,
gallery.
Yes.
actually, yes. Well, both my daughters are artists as well. My
Right.
youngest daughter is an animator. So I've hosted a young Palestinian from Gaza who did a personal documentary of his own family, of his grandfather's house being bombed. We screened his movie. I have a large screen in the restaurant that we pulled down.
Uh-huh.
Any artists are welcome during the market. We have lots of artists that participate. And yeah, it's really more than just a restaurant. It's a community center.
Mm.
We've
Uh-huh.
had speeches. I had the attorney for Palestine from the ICJ in The Hague come and speak. He won the case in the ICJ. His name is Paul Reichler. He's an amazing, amazing customer of mine. We've invited Cori Bush, who's running for Louisiana. And yeah, and we're continuing to do more things like that.
I saw the documentary a little bit, the one that you sent me. Can you tell us a little bit about that? That they were like interviewing you. That I think that came out in Washington Post also.
Okay, so the Washington Post article is way before I even had the idea or the vision of opening Nabiha. I wanted to do something, and it was way before October 7th. My friend, the Jewish American person, that he was the head of AID in Ecuador. He works for the US government. He and I used to cook together, and we would banter between Palestinian origin of food and falafel and hummus. And he would say it's Israeli, and I would say it's Palestinian. But it was in a light way, right? Not as we weren't arguing. But he said to me, once when I retire from the government, you and I should open a restaurant called Two Plate Solution. And I make my hummus, you make your hummus, and people can vote. And so I wanted to do this fundraiser with him, but unfortunately he had to travel, and because of his governmental position, he couldn't do it. But the name came out, and it was Two Plate Solution. So someone introduced me to a Jewish American woman who wrote a book called Breaking Bread in the Galilee. And she said, yes, I will cook with you. So she and I did a fundraiser. The donation on my part for the food and the whole menu was a prefix menu, went to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. And then during the dinner, it was, I think, 2 days or 3 days that we did it. Whoever bought her book for $25, 100% went to an Israeli organization that was started by Israeli women and Palestinian women advocating for peace. So what happened was a viral Instagram reel went out to boycott me by Palestinians, and that I was entertaining Zionists and I was raising funds for Israel.
Okay.
So at that time, well, obviously no one did their homework or even bothered to understand what I was doing. But it didn't matter. My kids and my PR were like, you need to make a video, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I said, no, thank you. I'm 64. I don't engage in Instagram wars or, what I call flashcard news.
Right.
So what I did is I reached out to the person that did the viral YouTube reel, whatever it's called on Instagram. And I said, if you really want to know what I'm doing, I would like to meet with you face to face. I don't engage in your type of communication. So the Washington Post heard about it, about the dinner, and then they interviewed her, interviewed me, and they said, do you mind if we come when you have your meeting? I said, no, not at all. So we had our meeting, and then she left saying, oh, by the way, and they also accused me of not being Palestinian. So then she did another video saying, don't boycott. She's actually Palestinian.
Oh my
She's
God.
actually doing something good, whatever. We may not agree on everything, but since then, that has haunted me for several things that I tried to do. I've had a journalist that had booked in Nabiha a speech that she wanted to give, and I donate my space free. Whoever wants to do something and it's related to Palestine, I'm like, you're welcome. We have the space. Let's do it. And I never say no. And then they back away last minute. Oh, she promotes liberal Zionism. They go back to this Washington Post article, right? So it's so funny because then I went to the person, and the person who did the original video is my biggest supporter now. And I said, you need to do another video. And she did, clarifying all this. But you know what? Haters are going to be haters, and you just move on. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's, I say it to my kids and my husband, I said, you know, when you're doing something right, that's
Yeah.
when all the
Yeah.
hatred comes out. When you're not doing anything, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And if you're doing something wrong, it doesn't matter. But when you're doing and you're hitting a subject,
Yeah.
and you know, people are gonna attack you. And I'm like, you're welcome. I will take any punch you will throw at me and I will give it back at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There's so
Let
much
the dogs bark.
miscommunication.
Yeah.
Like the miscommunication vibrates.
It's
It goes
ridiculous.
viral.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people don't listen, you know. It's funny because I've sat with several groups and I've talked to them for more than 1 hour, 2 hours. And I think it's just and a lot of them were very young and they just I don't know, they refuse to actually listen.
They
Yeah.
already
And
made
that's
up
fine.
their mind.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you can find out that you can talk and talk and talk, and they just are thinking what they have to say, but they don't listen. So that's a miscommunication that's happening in this
Exacto. That's
polarized world.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're so
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
They already made their
Yes.
decision.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
Yes.
mean, they're not
Yes.
gonna
Yes.
listen. That's the
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you know, you made flowers out of that mulch.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
I
you made
mean,
hummus.
you made
Yes.
hummus. That is so
Exactly. Make
funny.
hummus, not
Yeah.
war.
I remember
Yes.
you, Nesrin, years ago, I think in Ecuador with Marcela. And I remember something you said so clearly about women, because I was a consultant in Ecuador at that time. And you were telling about the difference between the women here in the United States, in the Middle East, there in Ecuador. And you said something that it's always in my memory. It's like machismo, for Maclovia, that's like sexism, is very high here in the United States compared to what you get in other countries. And I just remember that phrase you said. I think it was, I don't remember,
Yeah.
2006,
Well,
2007.
Well, it's because I lived it.
you
I
lived
Yeah,
it.
lived
yeah,
it.
Mhm.
I lived it when
Yeah.
I was working, trying to get a job out of college. I remember I worked as a receptionist at a law firm of 250 lawyers. And I was trying to actually get into their international trade department. And they said, well, you know, until it opens, we have a receptionist. I was like, okay, I'll take it, whatever. Get me the foot in the door. And I wasn't even like, all I had to do was answer the phones. But it was so funny to watch these lawyers look at me like somebody who had no brains. They would walk by me, and I remember this one attorney looks at me and says, I am going for lunch at this Italian restaurant. This is the name. This is literally how he was speaking to me, like in slow motion, because
Yeah.
apparently maybe I am a female and I need
Right.
to
Direction.
compliment, or am I foreign, or whatever it was. I didn't understand what it was. So I turned around and he gave me the address because somebody was going to call to guide them to the restaurant. And so I looked at him and I said, could you repeat that slower, please? Because I just couldn't quite get it. And he looked at me and he starts repeating it. And so at
Slower.
that time, I was studying for my GMAT. So I picked up my GMAT and I said, I don't know if you think I'm deaf or dumb, but I'm neither. I already got it within the 5 seconds.
Good for you.
I love it. I
I
love it.
love it. That's
So yes,
excellent.
I've
Yeah. You
experienced
lived
it,
it.
you know.
You lived it
Yeah.
in a place that, you know, you expect that somewhere else, but not here.
Yeah, exactly.
I,
But
I
it's
Right.
a
remember
different
And
those
way.
words
in such a
clearly.
way that you don't even, you can't even use your name,
No,
you
no,
know?
I was walking in my office one day and I laughed. If we had the Me Too movement in those days, oh my God. I was telling my kids and I was like, you know what? I just laughed it off because at the end of the day, I was the one that was gonna get exactly what I wanted. I would walk in the hallway in Battery Park in New York, in the headquarters of my the shipping company, and I remember someone saying, "Oh my, look at that porch, that swinging. What is it? That something swing like
Swinging.
some American saying, right? And it's like a swing, and I couldn't figure out like." Where do they see a swing, right? I didn't get it that it was my behind they were talking about. And you're a 60, 70-year-old man. You know,
Oh my
if you're
gosh.
enjoying watching my behind, enjoy it.
So funny. No, in Ecuador, they would say,
El heladito.
no, quisiera que seas hamburguesa.
Or the ice cream, so I can
Yeah.
yeah. When you
Uh,
pass to the construction, but
yeah.
yeah, it's funny. I love
Yeah.
it.
How many restaurants do you have now?
So we have 3, and altogether we opened 17
Yeah.
in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area, but at different times, right? So
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And what do you see? How do you see the future now? I mean,
This
It's
sucks.
no, but
I'll
with
be
your
honest with
restaurant,
you.
forget
No,
forget
I'm
the
telling
work.
you about restaurants. I'm telling you about restaurants.
Yeah.
Washington, D.C., every 2 weeks, every week, 2 restaurants shut down.
Yes, you were telling me.
It's horrible. It's horrible. The fact that ICE, well, first of all, what is the industry in Washington, D.C.? It's government, right?
Mhm.
So government, lawyers, and lobbyists. When Trump
They
was
shut down.
elected, Elon Musk and Dodge fired thousands of government workers, which means, people move out of the city, move out, even in the suburbs. And then the government got shut down for 3 months over the budget disagreements. And then you have ICE every day hitting Washington streets, which means, the hospitality industry is run by immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have several factors that are impacting the hospitality. So when Trump announced tariffs, all of a
Hmm.
sudden you have higher cost of products,
Right.
even though that we understand the economics, right? It takes time for the tariffs to actually be
Yes.
passed down
Right.
to the cost, but
Hmm.
immediately producers and vendors take advantage of it and start increasing their costs.
Yeah.
So you have a higher cost. The DC Council passed higher wages for tip workers, which they didn't understand that tip workers didn't want that because it reduced their tip money, but they
Right.
passed it anyway. So we have higher wages and higher costs, and you have less customers and less disposable income for customers to spend. So basically, you're hit from so many sides that it's really a matter of just trying to survive. Large hospitality groups with a lot of money are the ones that are surviving, but you have mom and pop shops. Just a month ago, a restaurant that was like a staple in our neighborhood in DuPont Circle, 75 years there, and it shut down.
Wow.
And it's pretty sad.
Well, talk about taking out the middleman,
Mhm.
the middle class. That's
Exactly.
what's happening. And
Exactly.
yeah, that's what's happening because prices are higher. I mean, it's hard to go out for
Yes.
dinner.
You can't.
It's
I've
really
had. It's funny because we had a reservation. My son was the general manager at that time, and it said the reservation comment on Open Table said, "Please be kind. I just got fired from AID."
Oh.
And I said to my son, I said, "You make sure you take care of them." So as soon as they came in, he brought them champagne
Oh,
and some
Aw.
wow.
appetizers on the house. And so, yeah, it's pretty sad.
Mhm.
People still like they're frustrated, they're angry, but they come out and all you hear people talking on the bars like, "Yeah, I know I shouldn't be going out, but I still want to go out, but I
Mhm.
can't spend as much. I
Mhm.
can't." They'll have happy hour appetizers instead of having dinner. So everybody had to adjust.
What is your definition of hope in the next in the next few years?
I think that, so I strongly believe that injustice doesn't have a long lifeline. Um, we have a lot of smart, educated people that eventually we're going to act, right? So, I mean, we can look at history. Everything ends at a certain point. Every injustice ends. My hope, it ends sooner than later, but I do have hope because otherwise I would be paralyzed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything, right? So without hope, yeah,
It's a
but
gas.
I have strong hope. And I always say, a no is a difficult yes, and we're going to get there.
And what message would you give to humanity of everything you've been through right now for our audience?
So I always ask, I asked my kids once, and I said, what is the most important characteristic of a human being? And my kids would say empathy, kindness. And I said, no, but all those are important. I said, the most important characteristic of a human being is generosity, because generosity encompasses all these other characteristics. And my advice to humanity, be as generous as you can to every human that you encounter. And to every injustice that you see in the world, you can give time, you can give empathy, you can give it a voice. You can just write something. So really be a generous person.
Love
Yes.
it.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
it.
you so
Yeah.
much.
Love it.
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
Maglovia usually has a card for our guests. Do you want to have it for Nesrin?
I do, if you want. You don't have to. And it's
Yeah.
an angel card.
Oh, I love it.
You love it? Okay.
Everybody
Okay.
loves it.
All right.
No, I want to hang it in my restaurant.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's
there
for
you go.
manifesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have,
Yes.
this one is Angels of Abundance. Angels of Abundance. And then I have
Okay.
Daily Guidance. Which
I
one do
will
you
do
want?
the angel of abundance.
Okay.
Yes.
Message for Nesrin. I'm mixing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to, no, it says, this says gratitude list. Hold on.
Mhm. Yeah.
It says gratitude list. Let me read it. It says, counting your blessings and feeling gratitude for what you already have helps you be centered in your heart instead of fixated on worries in your mind. What and who are you grateful for right now? Keep focusing upon gratitude and you'll discover the amazing generosity of this universe. Oh, that's
Another one.
Wait,
That
don't-
my husband just wrote me this whole article. He writes.
Yeah, he
about
put it on the
gratitude.
group.
Yeah.
Gratitude. Yeah.
I'll send it to Annie and she'll send it.
Always
Oh, thank you,
Maglovia
please
sends me,
do.
don't focus on lack. Because if you're worried, you're not going to manifest. It's like, okay, let's start. Positivity, gratitude.
Yeah.
Well, you just talked about generosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It came out.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
That's so
Thank
crazy.
you. Thank
Oh.
you.
Thank you, Nesrin.
Thank you so
No,
much.
Love
Nesrin,
having
we
you.
need to talk.
Everybody, please come to DC.
Okay.
I
Well,
know.
Dolly's there, but when we
Yeah.
go and
Yeah.
visit, definitely.